Coming up next on Asian Focus, how do babies respond to distress? And are there cultural differences? Plus, an actor, writer, director talks about his award-winning film. I'm Mary Sitt. We have all this coming up next on Asian Focus. Good morning and welcome to Asian Focus. I'm Mary Sitt. We all know what happens when babies are tired or hungry or angry. They cry, some harder than others. But are there cultural differences that occur when babies are distressed? Our next guest is researching this. Dr. Cindy Liu is a postdoctoral fellow at Harvard Medical School and Children's Hospital. Thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you. I'm so glad to be here.
When you talk about a baby's temperament, what do you mean by that exactly?
Well, when I talk about temperament, I'm referring to the outcomes based on biological conditions that predispose infants to respond in a certain way in their environment. So,
is it their personality? Is that temperament?
Yeah, so sometimes people think of temperament as kind of the precursors to personality. Essentially, personality or psychological profile, so to speak. Parents often wonder what their babies will be like, and essentially when we're studying temperament, we're trying to get at that.
Now, does a baby display a temperament immediately, like within hours of birth? You could say this is going to be a calm baby, this is going to be an active baby, or does it take a while for their temperament to be exhibited?
Some people think that temperament is genetically based, in addition to other factors that may occur in pregnancy that may kind of produce a particular psychological profile. Some people have studied behaviors that they see right at birth, but it takes some time for, I think, researchers to really get a sense of what that particular baby is like. But we do try to understand as early as possible.
Can parents pick it up pretty quickly?
That's an interesting question. I think parents all try to find out what their baby's like. I think that's something that everyone is curious about.
I'm just curious, how much does environment influence a child's temperament? Is it all genetic and cultural different, or with the environment of how they grow up? They grow up in a house full of shouting and screaming, or a house full of, with classical music. Does that affect their temperament or not?
Sure, absolutely. I think that researchers now don't really think about nature versus nurture, but that is a combination of the two that produce the unique individual.
Why is it important to study a baby's temperament in the first place?
Well, one of the things that we want to be able to do is understand and appreciate the range of different behaviors that infants exhibit. People used to think that infants just react reflexively, when rather infants are actually very sophisticated creatures. They're still developing their capacity for behaving in a particular way, but they're very sophisticated. And once we knew that, we can determine what is a normal range for behavior, and that way we can determine how can we best help individuals that may be outside the range.
Now, Cindy, when you say sophisticated, we think of an infant as like completely helpless. So what do you mean by sophisticated? You mean a baby that has his or her own distinct likes and dislikes, or what?
Absolutely. Through our research, we're able to determine what babies prefer. They are able to communicate to us, even though they can't talk. They show a lot of different behaviors, just a whole repertoire that we're able to make observations about and really appreciate.
Now, you brought a video clip, so let's take a look at that and show how you actually study temperament in the laboratory.
Sure.
Okay. Oh, how cute. What are we seeing here?
Absolutely cute baby. I just love her cheeks. So here we're presenting 3 stuffed, colorful toys, and you can tell that she's noticing these toys. She's following them with her eyes. She looks very relaxed, actually. Her hands are clasped, but they're resting, and her toes...
Now she's bored. She looked away for a second. Was that Mom she was looking at?
No, Mom is not in her view. She looked away.
What does that mean? That's, when it first started, she was really looking at the mobiles, and then within about 3 seconds, she's just looked away. Does that mean she was just disinterested?
Not necessarily. It could be that the baby's taking a break. Here you can tell that she's staring a little bit more intensely. We've increased the complexity of the toy, so there's more to look at, and she's really staring intently at it.
She's very cute. And
you can tell that her legs and her arms are actually starting to move a bit more.
Now, this is, what do you call this sort of research in the laboratory with the mobiles? This is the name for it.
Yes, we call it the Temperament Battery. It's been used with over hundreds of infants, and in addition to the visual mobiles that we give to infants, we have them listen to sounds and human voices.
Okay, so when you study this and you see this cute little baby, look at her eye movements. I mean, do you actually count the eye movements, and what do you do frame by frame?
Yeah, we look at it frame by frame, which I think for a lot of people, they just look and watch babies, but we look at it very carefully. There's 30 frames per second. And we have a team of research assistants that look at each frame and take note of what is occurring then. So they may look at whether or not the baby is moving, to the extent that they are vocalizing in that moment, if they are showing smiling, positive emotions, negative emotions, or just neutral faces.
Do most of the babies actually make noise and vocalize when they see do they go, oh, make a little cooing noise when they see the mobile? They get excited or not?
So that's what's really interesting is that some infants do. That's the way that they express themselves, and some infants don't. They express themselves in different ways, like moving their bodies or moving their faces.
Cindy, why are you studying Asian babies?
Well, I'm interested in Asian babies because there have been a few studies that have compared Asian babies with European American or white American babies and found that Asian babies seem to be calmer. But there have only just been a handful of these studies, so we're not entirely certain if that's really the case. We're interested, moreover, in understanding the range of behaviors. So, Asian babies may or may not be calm. We're interested is what is the range of behaviors in Asian babies.
Okay, are these Asian babies from Asia or Asian babies in America?
Well, in our current study, we're looking at Asian babies from the United States, those who are born here.
So Asian American babies?
Yes.
And are you noticing any differences now between Asian American babies and white babies?
Well, we're in the middle.
Temperament.
We're in the middle of our study, and we haven't been able to analyze our data quite yet. I think what's been really fun is that we're always surprised by the different types of behaviors that we see, and so until we get to the end of the study, we won't really know for certain.
Can you give me some sort of trends that you are noticing so far, even though you haven't concluded your study yet?
Well, at this time, we're just noticing a lot of different behaviors. In terms of vocalization, that's something that I'm really interested in looking at. I know that European American or white American mothers tend to verbalize a lot more with their infants. And so we're wondering if that may be something that's reflected back in the videotapes that we have of infants.
Okay, thank you so much. If somebody wants to participate in your research, what does that person do?
They can contact me by email.
Okay.
My email address is cindy.liu@childrens.harvard.edu.
Great. Thank you so much for being with us. Coming up next, an MIT-trained engineer turned Hollywood actor who appears in the same film as Michael Douglas in Ghosts of Girlfriends Past. We'll meet Albert Chan right after this. Stay with us.